eternity, having his heart torn apart from God. The darkness of sin surrounds him. Satan whispers in his ear, if you go through with this on Calvary, if you assume the guilt of sin, the shame of sin, the condemnation of sin, you must pay sin's full price. You'll be separated from your Father forever. You'll never see his face again. You'll never again get the worship of the angels. If you go through with this Jesus, you will go into the grave. You'll be condemned as a lost sinner. You will never come out. And hanging on the cross, Jesus says, Father, if to save Mark Finley, I need to bear the guilt of his sin and go into the grave and never come out, if to save Mary or John or Kevin or Joan, if I have to go into the grave and never come out, if I am eternally separated from the Father, if I have to experience the second death, I will do that because I don't want to be in heaven without them.
Amen.
Can you see why all the angels are singing, worthy, worthy is he? There is nothing like that in any of the great world religions. There is only one that teaches a Christ who dwells in human flesh, who lives the perfect life we should have lived, and dies the death that we should die. That's why through all eternity we'll be singing, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. You know, I love that old Romanian folklore tale. When I traveled through Romania, my friends told me the story. The old Romanian folklore tale goes like this: once upon a time. Don't you like those once upon a time stories? Once upon a time, there was a very rich nobleman. He had a palatial estate. He had cows and sheep and chickens and hundreds of thousands of acres. And he looked out over his estate, and there was a very poor peasant living on one part of his property, just off his property. And this peasant had just a little piece of property. He had a couple goats and no cows, he couldn't afford those, and a couple chickens. And the rich, wealthy man saw that little man's poor home, and he saw those couple chickens, he saw that goat. Once upon a time, that nobleman said, I want that, what that man has. I want it. And he said to his servants at night, go and chase that man's goats into my garden. Go and chase his chickens into my garden. And so his servants did. They chased the poor man's goat. They chased the poor man's chicken into the garden of the wealthy man. The next morning, the wealthy man got up and he said, my garden's ruined. Who did that? Ah! Your goats, your chickens. Ah, you did it. The poor man was tried in the public square. And as he was tried in the court of public opinion, you cannot control your own goats. These goats are taken from you and given to that rich man. You can't control your chickens. They're taken from you and given to that rich man. You're not worthy of living next to that rich man. Give him your property. His property was seized. As the final act of shame, the poor man was stripped to his waist, and the townspeople came by and spit upon him. And then the wealthy man came by and spit all over his face. The poor man was banished to exile. He wandered through town. Then he wandered into the forests. Little to eat, foraging around in the forests. Poor, filthy, dirty. One day, the king of that country came in his wagon with his royal entourage. And once upon a time, the king saw that poor man. And he stopped his carriage and he got out. And he said, why are you wandering here? No man in my empire should look like this. And the poor man told him the story. And the king said, wait. I have something.
And the king went. And as the king went, he found that poor man wandering there. The king went back to his carriage and got out a treasure chest and gave that poor man royal treasures that were enough to buy that whole city and enough to buy that wicked man's estate that had spit on him. But the poor man still had his head down. And the king said, "What is the matter?" And the king put his robes around that man and put a royal crown upon his head and said, "You are a prince now." But still the poor man had his head down. And the king said, "What is the matter?" He said, "I can never get over the shame of that man spitting in my face." And the king took the man and embraced him in his arms and kissed him on either cheek. And he said, "Go back into that town and buy that estate. And when the wicked man shames you, you tell him that the king kissed you with the kiss of his approval. I am that poor man. You are that poor man. You are that poor woman. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and destroy." Satan came, and he stripped us naked of those robes of righteousness, and we fell. And we wandered around in our lostness, wondering if anybody could save us. But Jesus came. Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. When sin had left the crimson stain, Christ has made it white as snow.
Amen.
And my king came, and he gave me the treasures of the universe. But my head was still down in disappointment, and he robed me with his righteousness. So my wickedness and sin would not be seen, but his goodness would only be seen. My head was still down, but he held me in his arms. And he said, "Where Satan has spit shame upon you, he kissed me on both cheeks with the kiss of love and with the embrace of grace. And so with the angels I sing in the universe, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb." Three great songs of Revelation. The song of creation tells me my worth. It tells me my value. It tells me that I have purpose in life. It tells me that I'm not a speck of cosmic dust. It tells me that whatever problem I have, that my Creator is big enough to handle it. The song of redemption tells me about a Christ that loves me so much, he wants me in eternity with him, and he wants me there that much. I cannot disappoint him. I cannot let him down. If there's a place in his heart only for me, if Christ was willing to go to the cross and be eternally separated from the Father for me, that love breaks my heart. That love changes my life. Because it is that love that I've longed for all my life. Somebody, the one who knows me best, loves me most. But there's one more song, Revelation, the 15th chapter. A song of creation. The song of redemption. The song of deliverance. Revelation, the 15th chapter. Revelation chapter 15. You're looking there at Revelation 15. Verse 2, verse 3. Revelation tells the story of the final climax in Earth's history, when eventually all the powers of hell are marshaled against the people of God.